I kind of just woke up this morning and looked at my For You page on YouTube, and I saw this video called They're Done, Lionel by Sam's Trains. And honestly, I watched it, and oh my goodness, Lionel has really started to slip in how much they care. By the way, I find it kind of funny how, in order to look for 603, you have to specifically search for it. And it kind of reminds me of some of the items that they came out for my favorite railroad, the Bessemer, and how they get it wrong a lot. And after watching that guy's video, I figured I might as well throw my hat into the ring and complain about some of the stuff Lionel has annoyed me with. Let's start with the first ever Bessemer and Lake Erie item Lionel ever produced, locomotive-wise. This is 868. Now, it looks weird, but that's because this is not an SD38. In fact, this is a GP38 on a SD frame, which I assume is probably an SD18 or their SD28 that they... Yeah, but there's a lot wrong. For one, it uses the tunnel motor lettering and the new logo, the logo that the Bessemer modernized with. And the reason this confuses me is because 868 never got this, despite being one of the few rebuilds. Another thing I forgot to mention was that on the front, there's a nose light, which the Bessemer did not have. But what's confusing is they also had the top light, which the Bessemer did have. And of course, they have the Bessemer logo on the front, just like the modern paint scheme. And also, the stripe is too high, and I own this model myself. The motor is in the front instead of the back, which means it has a horrible pulling power. But at the same time, this was during the eras where Lionel had just become a corporation. I think this was 1993, 4, maybe 2. So I kind of give it a pass. Also, no, this thing is not worth $200. Next, we're going to talk about a model that Lionel just seemed to just throw together for us Bessemer fans. This is their rendition of the 643. You can immediately tell there's a bunch of stuff wrong with it. First things first, in the render, there is no bell on the front, which is a sin, because the real 643 has a bell there. It is just a Chesapeake and Ohio Texas type with Bessemer plastered on it, but I will give them this. They did use the correct lettering, they did use the correct logo, but that's all I can really give it. Other than that, it's literally just a Texas type with Bessemer skin on it, and it's kind of poorly photoshopped too. Next on the chopping block is the Bessemer and Lake Erie F7s, and the set. Now, on first glance, these locomotives are actually really well detailed and pretty accurate to the Bessemer paint scheme. However, they made a mistake that really bothers me. They used the modern 90s logo instead of the original logo that all of the F7s wore even into the years of the Western Allegheny. It's not accurate, and it's such a small detail that most people won't notice it, but at the same time, they have the original logo. Why didn't they just use that logo to make it look more prototypical? I know it sounds like I'm complaining, which I am, but at the same time, this is like a $1,000 locomotive that I'm paying for. I at least want it to be somewhat accurate. They did something similar for the release of the SD38s. Not only did they get the font somewhat wrong, they also got the wrong logo, and this isn't even a regular SD38. This is an AC or -2 variant because of that square box on the top, because the original SD38s do not have that. In fact, the last remaining one, 862, which I've filmed multiple times, doesn't even have that. Why would you lie and say it's a 38 when it's really a 38-2 or AC body? Not like they did any better with the tunnel motors, though. For some reason, they gave them the pre-90s lettering. They did give them the right logos, I'll give them that. They gave them high ditch lights, which the Bessemer's tunnel motors never had high ditch lights. They also, for some reason, gave them marker lights, which, again, the tunnel motors never had. And, oh my goodness, why does this annoy me so much? Well, for 902, it looks like they, for some reason, put the BLE lettering all the way to the side there. From the looks of it, they also got the toolboxes wrong on the model. They never added that slit in the nose that they originally always had. Besides that, why is the CN one more accurate than the original Bessemer one? I'm sure this is just me being a Bessemer fan, and this really doesn't apply to anyone else, but it really feels like Lionel does not care if it's accurate. I remember my friend talking about the Tennessee Central locomotive they made a while back. I should probably ask him about it sometime, but it really seems like Lionel does not care. They don't care about anything other than let's cheaply get this out so that the foamers are happy so that we can make a bunch of money. If I'm going to pay a lot of money for a locomotive, I want it to be as accurate and as good looking as possible. Okay? Thank you for watching, and I'm sorry this was kind of a rant.